This storm will kill you.
Look! I'm telling you! You know what I mean,
But
folks?
if rich people aren't looking out for us, who is?
It makes no difference which one of us you vote for. Either way, your planet is doomed.
You're listening to the Our Take podcast with Bryan Sherman.
He had a full head, all the way till the end. It was white, and I was hoping to get that. I was hoping to get, like, the full head, and it was really hard to cut it off.
And Spencer Rogers.
To be a good pilot, you have to be able to make good decisions. And I know what my credit score is, so I know I don't make good decisions.
This is the Our Take podcast.
From Scary Parrot Media Studios in Ogden, Utah, it's the Our Take podcast, episode 102. I'm Bryan.
I am Spencer, and we really need to get a different joke for you at the beginning of our intro, because it's not even a joke. It's just like 3 clips I stitched together.
Right.
It probably doesn't make sense to anybody.
No, because it was from like episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I was just going to the bathroom. And I was thinking to myself, we should really change that
Yeah, it's kind of stupid.
for both of us.
I mean, what the story was that your grandpa had a full head of hair.
Yes, my grandpa, my opa, he's
Yeah.
Dutch, had a full head of white hair.
Yeah,
And a separate story
right.
was that I shaved my head for my friend Michelle, who had cancer.
Right.
You took them to mean, you put them together to imply that I cut off my opa's head.
Yeah,
That's not what
I
happened.
really wanted it, and it was hard to do or something. I don't know. I don't
Right.
even know what it says anymore.
It was good at the time. It's been played,
Huh.
maybe. It's
been
December,
played 102 times.
at least. It's December the 20th, 2020.
Plus, like the 4 episodes we didn't air.
Right. On this day in history, in 1989, the United States begins its invasion of Panama.
Huh.
Also known as Operation Just Cause, or Just Cuz. The invasion took place under the leadership of President George H.W. Bush and led to the deposing of the dictator Manuel Noriega. The invasion ended on January 31st, 1990, so a little more than a month. Our invasion and coup, essentially.
I didn't know we'd done a lot down south.
Well, I think it's all about the canal.
We needed that canal.
I'm assuming the dictator
Was being a dick?
was charging us more than we wanted to be charged since we built it.
We want $5 on the ship, and you're charging us 10.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. What else happened on this day? In 2007, Queen Elizabeth became the longest living British monarch.
Yeah, she's old, man.
She's very old.
She was
81
yeah,
at
man.
that time.
She's like 90.
She's 94 now, at least. Maybe 95.
Maybe 99. Maybe 100. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
She needs to go. No. God save the king.
Yeah.
You know what's cool?
I think Charles, man. I don't think she's gonna die till Charles does.
You know what's cool though? You know how all their ships are HMS?
Right.
You know why?
Her
Majesty's ship.
right.
But if it's a king, it can just be
HMS.
Yeah.
They do have to change. There was one thing I heard. I can't remember if it's like their police officer's shield.
Oh, really?
Something has to be changed when she goes.
I didn't know.
Obviously, the currency is all going to be changed because right now it has her profile.
Not all of it though, does it? I can't remember. I have a bunch of it at home.
Their coinage, including in their provinces like
we've talked
Canada.
about that before.
and-
They have so many coins.
yeah.
We talked about that when I got back from England, but they were 2
Right.
separate Pence drawers. Mike Pence. That's what they call them there.
Yeah. Pence.
2 Mike Pence.
Canada, Australia, other places. I don't know who that uses the Queen's money,
Yeah, well,
Queen's currency.
Queen's currency.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
Did
I was
stop?
it was just this day in history was
Oh,
all.
what? Those were both riveting. In 1989, I was 4.
I was 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I distinctly remember that Panama invasion.
You know what's funny? Not funny. Not haha. I don't remember the Panama. I don't even remember learning about that.
I don't. I had no idea.
There you go.
I
However,
feel pretty stupid that I didn't know anything about that.
I was only 7 years old when we invaded Kuwait or Iraq for Kuwait. You know what I mean?
The first time.
Yeah, Persian Gulf War. I think I have I was only 7, but I have vague memories of watching
I do
Baghdad
too.
get lit up on TV.
I do too.
Yeah. And then I think they coalesced with the images we got after 9/11.
Yeah, probably.
Because it looked very similar. Night vision tracers.
Yeah, I remember when we invaded Iraq, and then we didn't really know.
In the Persian Gulf War. Desert Storm?
No, the newest one.
Yeah.
George W.'s war.
Yeah.
Cheney's war or whatever.
Cheney's war.
It was interesting. It was a very interesting watch. Because nothing had really been done like that before. I mean, it was weird. Can you imagine?
Not as televised.
Right. Can you imagine? When we dropped the atom bomb. Oh my God, this is terrible. There's reporters in the hotels. We see gunfire outside. What the hell is that?
We just saw.
There's a flash. I am blind.
The anchors back in the States were probably like, "Oh, that was just an anomaly in the film." That was. There's no way that was.
I just think it's so weird that there's news anchors in the city in hotels, and they're like, "We hear people knocking on our door now."
Right.
Sounds like. We may need to step aside for a minute.
Right. All right, Anderson. Well, you be careful.
When they come back, you're like, "What happened there?" Well, the Iraq guard came in and frisked us and held us at gunpoint and took all our money, and then they left.
They left our camera.
Yeah.
Luckily.
Yeah.
They considered taking it, but didn't have the manual.
Yeah.
It is weird that we have reporters in war zones, but it makes for thrilling television.
It was. I remember my girlfriend. I don't know why. I had a girlfriend at the time, and she texted me, and she's like, "I'm scared." And I was like, "Why?"
Yeah, I don't think I was scared. I mean, there were minute talks of a draft.
Right.
Very, very small.
Yeah, I didn't see that happening.
Because of 9/11.
Well, so many people went into the service after 9/11 that a draft wasn't even really...
Right. But...
I wish I would have got drafted, then I wouldn't be so fat and
I was definitely more scared after 9/11 than I was...
Yeah, that was a crazy day. Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that was here.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. It's like we live right next to a base. It's a target. Yeah, who knows?
Well, on an interesting another topic here, on my way over driving today, there was a commercial, and in it they were like, "Hey, if you do this, you can donate to Sub for Santa," and that's an organization. Have you heard of it?
I have. Yeah.
Okay, so my first thought is that is a terrible name for an organization, right?
That's true. I never thought about that.
Santa's like, "Those poor and destitute people. I'm not going there. You're gonna need a sub."
Oh man, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Santa doesn't go to the destitute people. If you don't make over a certain amount of money, he's not going. Hey, can you call in my sub on this one? That town's looking a little darker, wink, than I'd like it to. So
yeah, sorry, kids. We're in a tax bracket where he just doesn't visit. That's a terrible name.
Our chimney isn't big enough.
We should probably start a movement around that and call it I don't know what.
Did you
Toys for Tots is always just a good one.
I personally like Toys for Tots.
Tots.
Did you growing up did you have a chimney when you were a kid?
Yes.
Like full on
in two of the houses I grew up in, we had a chimney.
Okay.
And, well, maybe only anyway, whatever. And then one house we didn't.
We had a chimney growing up because we had a fireplace and we actually had fires in there occasionally. But it wasn't. It was just a little metal pipe. The top. It wasn't a big stone.
It wasn't a brick. Yeah.
Right. And I was always like, how
until the Santa Claus came out.
Right. Then we understood. And
right.
Oh. Well.
Right.
All these years.
It's all about Comet's magic.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you just basically ooze in there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Sub for Santa apparently.
Yeah, we gotta rebrand. Yeah. Rebrand that.
Did you have you already got all your Christmas shopping done?
Yeah, it's in a pile right over there
Oh, nice.
for Ashley and Quinn.
Did you get your dad something? Is that something you still do, or have always done, or
Yes, it's something I've always done.
right?
And no, I haven't gotten him anything yet.
So with my dad, it's at the point now where, I mean, at some point Christmas just becomes a wash, right? I mean, my dad probably still makes more money than me because I'm broke, but
It's a wash.
well, it is, right? Like, so I don't know. My dad, he never gives any hints. All the rest of us have Amazon wish lists that he demands
Right.
that we put up, and he didn't put anything on a wish list this year. I'm just like,
Son of a bitch.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So in the past, he said things like, well, spending time with you or blah, blah, blah is better,
Right.
stuff like that. But
Right.
so I decided this year I found a little trinket. And I've given him all sorts of crap like this, but I thought this was pretty cool. And you
Okay.
tell me what you think.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but my dad was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And he was a weapons... I can't remember what they're called, but basically he loaded the A-10s and the
Oh, that's right, because he has
F4s.
rounds.
Yeah. And so I was on Etsy, and there's this guy that strips old airplanes and pulls parts off and sells them.
That's cool.
And he was selling this.
A little O-ring.
Well, what this is a slice for the camera
Yeah,
there.
hold that up there.
The other day I was talking to our friend Bryan Stubbs, who
Yeah.
started listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
and I asked him, what do we suck at?
Don't
And-
ever ask people that.
No, but I didn't. I can't remember what I said. But he's like, "Well, you guys have been really visual. Like, I was like, I know. We've been doing that a lot.
on purpose stuff.
Ever since we got on YouTube, we've struggled. So just know that we know.
That's the point.
We're aware. Go watch it on YouTube.
on our
if
website.
you're in the car listening to it, then hopefully we'll remember to post it to Facebook. If not,
Right.
check it out on YouTube.
Fine. What Spencer's holding up is about a little bit bigger than a $50.
Yes.
And it looks like a washer with ribs on the inside.
Well, what do you think those ribs are?
I don't know. It looks like a.
They were these were invented. It's one of the reasons that we won the Revolutionary War.
Oh, ballistics.
It's a rifle. It's rifling.
Rifling.
So this is
Is that a cross section?
a part of the gun that's on an A-10.
Let me see that.
So someone took the barrel and just cut a bunch of slots out of it.
That's actually pretty freaking cool.
Yeah,
I gotta be honest.
right?
Cross section.
So I saw this and I was like, that's way too big to be a barrel of a gun. So I 3D printed a 2-scale bullet. For
Oh
an
my
A-10,
gosh.
And sure enough, it
That's
fits
amazing.
right on there.
Let me see that. It's a little phallic, but it's okay.
If you put that next to your bed, someone might be.
It's also the color of the.
It is.
thing.
It's PLA/wood.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear that. See?
Yeah.
See Stubbs? Yeah, for the audio. That's cool. So that's the rifling.
Yeah. So that got me, of course, into because this is huge.
That's massive.
This hits you, and there's no coming back.
No, that would blow your
So
whole
I
side
started diving into a hole about A-10 rounds, and
if I remember right, they're like $72 a piece.
or more.
And when they come out of the gun, it's at like 100 per second, I think.
No. But let's talk about
Okay,
that.
okay.
So I found out what the rounds per minute was on A-10, and I compared that to
Because it has a very distinct.
the
brrr.
M249. So the M249 is our squad automatic weapon that our troops use, or I don't know if they still use. They might have got a new one, but
Are they mounted?
no, it's one that you can carry.
Okay.
And it shoots at around. It can do up to 850 rounds a minute.
Okay.
But, that's not always the case if it's mounted and is, I think, cool that can do that. But
Sure.
then the M4, our standard rifle, it does about 950 rounds a minute.
Okay.
So that's just a base there for, what these guns do. Now, what I want you to do,
Should we play some audio?
just
Oh, you're okay.
So take your camera,
Okay.
and I just want you to take it, and I want you to put it right here on the table.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is show you.
No one can hear you.
I know. What I'm going to do is show you the rounds per minute of an A-10.
Okay. So right now I have your top of your MacBook is front and center.
Okay, so it's going to land right around here.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Let me go further down.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
There we go.
All right. So all I need you to do.
I'll put this on TikTok.
Oh, good idea. All I need you to do is count to 1. Okay? Tell me when you're ready.
So I'll say 0, 1. Okay. Okay. 3, 2, 1, 0, 1. That's how many in 1 second?
65 rounds per second is what the A-10 does.
That's incredible.
60. So this all of this
It.
in 1 second.
Can you pull up some audio
Probably.
of an A-10 while I try and fix this?
I should just have that on standby, right?
Because it's a very distinct sound.
It is. And
It's very frightening.
As I was looking through the internet, there was someone that posted, "Could you live being struck by an A-10 bullet?" And the resounding answer was no. Not only because if even if you didn't get hit by it, if it landed near you, it explodes in such a way that there's so much shrapnel.
Oh,
or if it hit, no,
They're not necessarily incendiary.
but they just
right. They
yeah.
have incendiary ones,
They
though.
do.
Yeah.
or
This-
if you're
This is misleading, by the way, because this is the round, not this. Like, it's this whole thing,
that's
right?
because I ran out of filament and I had to switch. I ran out
Right.
of black.
So
So
let's just make sure people understand
this
that
is actually this is probably the most the closest representation of what the actual.
this is the actual round that exits
It might be just a little longer than that, but yeah.
exits the rifle. Like the barrel. Like it's huge.
It
And
is.
If this hit me right here.
It doesn't actually matter where it hits you. I think you bleed out pretty much instantly, right?
But I mean, what is it traveling at? Maybe like 2,000 feet per second.
I bet it says somewhere on here.
I'm sure.
Hold on. I've got the
I'm gonna hold it right here on my shoulder.
rate of fire 3,900 rate 30. It's 3,900
Rounds
per minute.
Rounds 3,900.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about this before because when they do their little burr runs, we're like that cost $13,000 in just ammunition.
I'm not seeing the. What would that be called? The
Velocity,
Oh yeah.
airspeed, the ground speed of anyway, you're gonna find it, but this would it would just blow my arm off and probably most of my right side.
Okay, it says
That's cool.
1,067 meters per second. Now,
So that's like 3,000 feet per. Yeah, I was close.
were you?
I was close. I mean, you're gonna convert it to American real quick.
Obviously.
Yeah. Meters. Come on.
Oh, not millimeters. Sorry, meters.
All right, did you make these for your dad?
No, I made these for the show.
So I can have one?
Yeah, you can have
Oh,
as
sweet.
many of them as you want. 3,500 feet
Per second.
per second. Wow, that's
I think a shotgun is like 1,200
crazy.
feet per second.
And part of the A-10 is when that I had the sound pulled up. Where'd it go? When that gun goes off, it pushes the plane back a little bit
Right.
because of the force that comes out of it.
Especially.
There it is. And you know what's even more
That's so creepy.
about the A-10 is that and we know this because they land here occasionally. You don't hear them.
They're
You
super
don't
quiet.
hear them. They're quite quiet, even though they have two engines.
Right.
You don't hear them coming until it's too late.
Yeah, they're super quiet.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh,
So
yeah.
that was like a 1 second burst. They're right there. Like,
Yeah.
So that
I
was.
wonder how many rounds did they actually carry?
I don't know.
It seems like that would be one trigger pull and you'd
Real-
be
for
out,
real.
right?
I mean, think if you were a ground troop though, and you knew they were sending an A-10, you'd be like,
I mean,
oh.
That's why they're feared. That's why they're still in service, despite the fact that they...
because they're super agile, too, for a gunship. Like,
yeah.
They're very agile.
Well, they're not so much... They are. They're maneuverable enough.
Maneuverable, yeah.
But it's more that their bottom is armored, and so rounds don't really pierce them as well.
Chaff. Chaff.
It's easier for them to get lower. 1972, they stopped producing them. They haven't made a new one since 1984.
So they're reliable.
Well, yeah, that's what we just got this contract here at Hill Air Force Base to do.
To repair them?
To keep them going through, I think, 2035.
Because it is a very unique weapon. Like,
it is. There's nothing else like it.
It's like
in the world.
if you combined a fighter jet with like a Black Hawk.
Yeah, kind of.
Like, to have that kind of gun on a plane.
The only other place that this particular gun, it's called the GAU-8, the GAU-8, is it's on boats. It's on ships to shoot at pirates. I don't know what else they're shooting at now.
Either one, yeah. It could be anti-aircraft.
Yeah. But it's too big to be mounted on anything else.
I mean, it's going so fast that you'd probably only have to put like one tracer every like 40 rounds. Rather than like every third round.
Probably don't need a tracer. You just
That's true. Just follow the glowing.
From what I was saying, if it lands near you,
they're so big. They're so big.
Maybe he holds the trigger for 2 seconds instead of.
And depending on how fast he's going.
So it's just.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. You should look up some videos of A-10s like practicing though, because it's just a line of. You see like an old Jeep,
right?
And it's just a line of dust, and then the Jeep's on fire when the dust clears. It's crazy, and all you hear is brrr. You don't hear the engine, anything. It's pretty intense. It's probably my favorite plane.
I mean, it's pretty cool, and in this I also looked up, because most of our other planes use 20 millimeter rounds or 25 millimeter.
And what
rounds.
are these?
30.
30. Okay.
And if you just hold on, let me see.
I'm so glad you printed so many.
I know, right?
The things that you do for this show. I mean,
the comparison here on our standard bullet. Let me send you this picture I just downloaded.
Okay.
It's quite staggering. So this is what you'll find on like F-16s and I think the F-35 might have a bit of a bigger round, but the size comparison there is pretty.
Okay. Yeah. Let's move this over real quick. That's a significant difference, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean it's like a foot long. No.
Here you go. All right, so that's a standard on the top, standard 20 millimeter fighter round, and then an A-10 30 millimeter round. Essentially, the entire length of the 20 millimeter round fits in
the shell
casing of the A-10 30.
That's a hell of a shell casing too. It's so big.
For those of you who won't watch this, it's 11.4 inches long.
Oh, here's
and so is this round.
That was coming to me into my mind as you were saying that. Oh, that's funny. There's another comparison here of that's so I mean it makes a 0.50 millimeter round look like nothing. Anyway, so yeah, that's I got to figure out. I got a little screwdriver set to put. I found these on the internet here.
Yeah.
And I was like, how have I gone my whole life without these? There's been so many times I'm like, man.
Oh, you found this on the same Etsy site?
No, it was on Amazon. I was trying to figure out because this is just weird. Just like, but I'm going to attach some of these, a keychain these.
Make it a keychain.
Yeah.
And the round is how you hold the keys.
Right.
You just
it's what you attach to it if you give it to someone to go to the bathroom, like at the 7-Eleven.
Right. That's pretty that's such a cool idea to take the barrel of a gun and
There's
slice
actually,
it.
there's lots of there's a few websites that do stuff like. There's one that takes pieces out of airplanes, like well, obviously out of commercial planes, and makes them into keychains or luggage tags.
Huh.
And it'll even have like the rest of the livery on it, so you can tell it's a Southwest plane or whatever, and it's all scratched up. And
It's like it's like basketball cards that have the little piece of jersey in them now.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty fancy.
And baseball cards.
I didn't know those were still even a thing. Wow, there are rounds everywhere.
Everybody's got a thing, and for some people it's 3D printed A-10 rounds. For others, it's baseball cards.
Or sex robots,
Right.
Who are we to judge?
No one. We are no one to judge.
Well, since we're on the topic here of A-10s, that's a terrible transition. I want to talk about football stadiums.
Okay.
Are we good with that?
I mean, it's a little edgy for the program, but I think we'll be okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to send you a series of pictures.
Okay.
Okay. So let's put and we will describe these in detail for all of you that are listening in your car right now. Okay. So the first picture I'm sending you, and if you could get these pictures and get them all on the screen at the same time as I send them to you. So just shrink them down, and
I'll do my best here.
You got it. It doesn't need to be all at once. But do you know what that is right there?
That looks like a baseball diamond.
It is. It's a baseball stadium. That is actually a local stadium.
Oh, Smith's.
Yes, it's Smith's Ballpark. But most importantly, what I want to talk about here,
Utah Bees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think the capacity for the stadium is?
I'm gonna say 10,000.
Close. It's around 14.
Okay.
And that looks pretty full, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty full crowd there.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, I'm going to send you something that you are probably pretty familiar with.
NASCAR.
No. Not quite.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So this is what?
This is Energy Solutions Arena.
Vivint Smart Home
Oh,
Arena.
excuse me.
Or as some people still call it, the Delta Center. Do you know what the capacity?
19,000.
Yeah, it's we're gonna round up to 20 because it
Sure.
is like 19,000 something. But
Right.
yeah, it's right around 20,000, and that looks like a sold. I think they have a sellout record, don't they?
Yes, I think they went let's go back a season because of the pandemic.
Right. Well,
They had a
okay.
sellout record for that season because of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. By the way,
Speaking of which,
Rudy Gobert just got $204 million.
I'm a little surprised they paid him that much, but I mean, cool.
Defensive
whatever.
Player of the Year, man, over and over again.
$200 million.
I know. Well, they were worried about it. I saw a headline that he might go to the Celtics because the Jazz can't afford him because of Donovan.
I'm sure their new owner could, take care of that.
Yeah. Okay, so this is clearly
All right. So our next one here is another baseball stadium.
is Yankees.
It's a Yankee stadium. Any idea what their capacity is?
Oh man, they got 4 tiers.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4 tiers plus a ground level here.
Uh-huh.
25,000.
No. 50.
50,000.
Yeah, right.
To watch a baseball
it's
game.
like 47, pretty close to 50,000.
That's
though.
incredible.
It's a pretty big one. The biggest baseball stadium is actually the Dodger Stadium, but most baseball stadiums stay between 40 and 50.
For the majors.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously. All right. Now I'm going to send you a couple of football stadiums.
Okay.
This is Levi's Stadium. It's a newer stadium. It's in San Francisco. What do you think the capacity? Now, this is a smaller field, even though it's newer.
But there are 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers that are large and all the way around and clearly taller.
Yeah.
Oh. This was 50 over here?
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is 150.
No. There's no stadium that big in the U.S.
Okay.
It's 70.
70. Okay.
I think it can be expanded to 80 or so, or maybe more, but.
Okay.
Yeah, even the biggest stadium is not quite that. All right, I just sent you another one here.
Okay, I got it.
It's
MetLife.
this is the Jets MetLife Stadium. It holds 80,000.
Okay.
Okay, and then one last picture I'm going to send you here is the A-10 Stadium, which is top 5 of the biggest NFL stadiums.
It's in Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. it holds between 80 and 105,000. Just
105,000.
Just depending on the configuration.
That's insane.
But we're going to say 90 because it's kind of a in the middle number there. Now, we have all these on the screen.
As best I can.
Yeah. And all these stadiums that I put up here are sold out. Okay? They are full to capacity.
Okay.
Now, if you thought this was going to be a cheery topic,
I didn't know it was a topic at all. Okay, go ahead.
Now, as you look at all these stadiums with
Yeah.
all these people inside, though that is roughly the amount of people that have died in the U.S. from coronavirus this year.
So I got to get all of them on the screen then, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because it's all of these combined is what you're saying.
I'm really into object lessons today.
I like it. So all of these stadiums combined, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I'll just do one of those.
Oh, wow.
That's so.
So, you still hear people saying that it's a hoax or wearing a mask doesn't help. For 324,000 families in the U.S., that has not been their experience with this virus.
I don't know how you can call it a hoax still.
Well, yeah.
And I have seen certain people who are on the hoax train say, we don't think the virus is a hoax. We think the response is a hoax. And we think these numbers have been inflated, which is a whole...
Yeah, that's a whole another thing.
Listen. A doctor declares the reason for death.
Yeah.
Be it a medical examiner who was an MD or an emergency room physician or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get paid based on the cause of death.
Right.
So there's absolutely no incentive for a doctor to change the cause of death other than you'll lose your license if you do.
Right.
You'll lose your medical license. And then I've heard the argument like, well, they have a terminal or they have an underlying condition, right? Which I think, have we talked about this?
We did, and we kind of debunked that because you said that if you had cancer and you had 3 weeks to live and you got in a car accident and died, what did you die of?
The car accident.
The car accident.
The cause of death is a car accident.
Right.
So now just replace car accident with COVID-19.
Right.
Anyway.
So whether they had, a lot of these people have been elderly, a lot of them haven't, but whether they had an extra week to live or an extra, 20 years to live or more, it really doesn't matter to the people who lost them.
The reason they died was because of this virus that has been scientifically, if I can use that word without losing people, proven that it could... It's just observationally, you can see proof that it could have been handled better in similar countries with similar density.
Well, I mean, we do have the worst numbers, and Japan. I like to use Japan a lot because Tokyo has 37 million people in it, which is basically Los Angeles, New York, Dallas,
it's California,
and Houston combined.
Yeah.
And they're not even on the top 50 list of the worst countries.
With them that dense, they should be.
Yeah,
they're right on top of each other,
and they all use public transportation, but they also all wear masks. So it's
right. I have something to bring up though.
Yeah,
going back to the capacity of stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked at NASCAR? Did you look at NASCAR?
I didn't.
Because some of those grandstands,
yeah, they are pretty big.
Are like 250,000 people.
Yeah,
it's insane. I don't know where they park. I mean, I don't know where these people park. Luckily, there's probably subways and stuff. But you go to Talladega.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. Indianapolis Motor Speedway says it has a capacity of 257,000.
So, 250,000 people to watch cars. Go around in a circle.
So instead of all these stadiums, just look at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway plus Yankee Stadium, and we're there.
Right. Yes. You still can't. Yeah. You still can't get them all in one. unless you go to China,
But
maybe. One of their stadiums.
I thought that it just might help to give a visualization because, we get these deaths every day now. I still get texts from KSL every day that are like 2,000 cases, 7 new deaths.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. We're basically having 9/11 every day.
Every day.
I think we surpassed our record for over 3,000 deaths in a day this week.
Yes, I did see a thing that was like 5 deadliest days in American history. And it was like Pearl Harbor, 9/11, yesterday,
June
the day
20
before, and the day before that.
December 2nd.
Yeah, it really is. So, no, this is very...
And just
man.
remember, these aren't days that are going to really live in infamy. They're not going to get together every year and read these names like they do for 9/11. There's not going to be a big memorial like there is at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
It's just going to be the year that kind of sucked. And
Right. People are going to attribute it to, well, that's shit luck.
basically,
Which it wasn't, though.
well, yeah.
We have an administration that did nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, but I cut off travel from China. No, you cut off Chinese nationals.
Right.
But the guy who had it first in Washington, from
He
China.
just came from China.
yeah.
Anyway,
The Trump virus.
so yeah, there's a happy little visualization for you, and maybe you can also think about hopefully next year we will have the ability to go back to these stadiums and try and start to normalize because this week the first vaccines rolled out,
That's true.
and the Moderna vaccine was approved yesterday evening, I believe.
And this was just in, like half an hour ago, Congress agreed on a bill.
I'm gonna get $600 more.
$600. It's laughable, man.
Hey, I'll take it. You know what I'm really bummed out
You
about?
know how much Canadians are getting?
How much?
Like $2,000. Since the pandemic started.
Oh.
$2,000 a month.
What?
$2,000 a month. And they're like, oh, America, you just $1,800. That's enough to last you a year, right? How more out of touch could you appear?
I think that there is a case to be made that because of our population size, vastly different than Canada, maybe they should have taken more of a wage approach to this instead of having the cutoff be, was it like 90,000 or something?
They probably could have taken 10% of our defense budget and
Well, that's true.
and paid Americans to stay home, and this virus would have been curtailed in April.
In April.
It's not hyperbolic. I'm just saying, but with the exception of a vaccine, which we now have,
Right.
the only other thing that was going to stop this was to pay Americans to stay home, which is what Canada did. It's what every other developed nation did. Like, the Netherlands is paying like 90%.
Did you hear the King of Sweden? Because Sweden, they went the herd immunity route.
Yeah. And he said it didn't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's like all embarrassed and like,
Right.
I don't think it was his idea.
It's probably his prime minister.
He made it seem like he was blaming the country. So I guess he's just a figurehead.
None of you guys got sick enough quick enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you follow me on Facebook, you may have seen me post about Enrique Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys,
Which makes the Proud Boys not a racist organization.
because he's Black Cuban.
And his name's Enrique.
Tarrio. Yes. I posted because I saw that he posted on Parler, that new social media platform.
There's a new.
Parler that doesn't take down any fake news. So a bunch of people on the right are moving there so that they can post their fake stories. Dead serious. Anyway, he posted. He was in D.C. and he said something along the lines of, "Just got a last-minute invite to an undisclosed location. I'm in awe." Okay.
Oh, yeah, I remember we talked about that.
So I posted on Facebook. I suppose Trump invited Enrique Tarrio to the White House, which just speaks volumes about Trump. Okay, I retracted it. I was wrong because he lied. He wasn't invited. He was on a public White House tour.
Oh. What a douche.
The head of the Proud Boys went on a public White House tour, which you do have to get approval from, like, your congressman. You have to get on a list.
Oh, really?
So there's hoops, there's rigmarole. But then he posted it as if he was invited there by the president. And no, he was just on a tour. Just saw that downstairs.
So he didn't have a get-together meeting about their coup that they're going to have on January 20th.
Right. And I will give an ounce of credit to Trump here. Yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, tweeted that martial law equals fake news. Did you see the headlines about this?
I didn't. Last thing I saw was that even Rudy Giuliani was getting a little scared about what he was saying.
So the suggestion was from Michael Flynn, of all people, General Michael Flynn,
right,
and others, was to impose martial law in the swing states to commandeer the voting machines so they could be forensically analyzed. Because I guess they don't trust who's doing it now. Now, generals, the chief of staff of the army, many other people, Secretary of Defense, have come out and said there's no way that martial law will ever be imposed because in the Constitution, the only time that martial law can be imposed is if there's no judiciary, if the judiciary is broken. If there's no judges, there's no way to enforce the law. If there's no other way to enforce the law, that's the only time you can impose it.
Oh, well.
So all those people in Trump's cabinet have said, no, we're not going to. So he tweeted, it's fake news. Made me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
He's not going to go martial law route. And then there was talk about appointing Sidney Powell as a special prosecutor, special counsel. Sidney Powell is the next Robert Mueller. I don't know, man. There's a lot of people who, I really don't know how many, but there's a lot of people who still think that Trump is going to be in.
Yeah, I've seen. I mean, there's people still waving flags and wearing hats, and I'm like,
I don't know what the representation is.
yeah,
I couldn't give you a number because I certainly don't think all 74 million people who voted for him think that. I really don't.
I would imagine that the majority of Republicans, the sane majority, are like, okay,
right,
let's move
he
on.
lost. I mean,
we didn't like him anyway, but
yeah. So I have
better than Hillary,
right? I have a Facebook buddy who sent me a video yesterday. He's a Trump supporter, and he asked me to watch it. And it was a guy, I don't know his name. He seemed very smart, running down how Trump could still get into office based on the Constitution and the Electoral Count Act of 1887. Long story short, if you want my take on it, I did some digging. I'm not saying that I'm a legal scholar or that I am smarter than this man, but the way I read the Electoral Count Act and the way that it works, that it operates, I don't see a way. I don't see a way. People can raise objections. Senators and representatives can raise objections to a state's electors if they have someone from the other house on board with them. Does that make sense?
Emperor Mitch McConnell Palpatine has thrown in the towel. It's time to...
No, there's representatives who have already said they're going to object. There are senators who said they might sign on. But even if they do, you have to convince both chambers of Congress separately that we should throw those electors out.
Right.
It's not going to happen. You're never going to convince a Democratic House, let alone what could be a Democratic Congress, because Congress is sworn in the day before the electors meet. Okay? So they're sworn in on the runoff in Georgia's on the 5th. I don't know how that's going to work. Anyway, just to put your minds at ease, based on what I read about the Electoral Count Act and the 12th Amendment, I really don't see a way that Trump can weasel his way into this at all. I really don't.
Do you think he's just doing this to save face?
I don't think he knows how to. I really think he has. I think he has a personality disorder. I don't think he knows how to accept defeat. I really don't think he does. Right. He doesn't have the capacity. He's always won.
But he was prepared. It seemed like he was prepared to accept defeat the first time around. Like he was planning on losing.
I don't think he ever wanted to win.
Is that different?
But remember, even last time during a debate, he said, "I'll accept the results if I win."
Oh, right.
All along, I think that he has a lot of dissonance.
Right.
I think he doesn't know how to accept defeat, but the rational side of him is like, yeah, I lost, you know.
The rational side of him.
But I would like to talk about a story real quick.
Oh.
Regarding it can really only be described as hysteria here for people who still think there was a conspiracy. Oh, yeah. Have you seen this story?
Yeah, I think so.
This is an ex-Houston police chief. Okay? So let me cover that first.
Is he ex now or is he ex because of this?
He's ex not because of this.
Okay.
But he was fired originally for arresting 300 people in a grocery store parking lot for drag racing, including people who were just there shopping.
How did he arrest 300 people?
He told his officers to do it. He was the chief. The city got sued, paid out like $840,000
That's it?
to people who sued. Yeah. And they fired him. He appealed it, and they said, fine, we allow you to resign. Of course, we know the reason why, so that he can keep his pension.
They should have punked him. All right, we'll allow you to resign. I resign. Nope, you're fired.
Right. Which I think you and I have talked about on the show. I don't really agree with taking away pension.
Well, what if this guy was a slime bag for 50 years? I understand what you're saying.
If you can prove that there was corruption for someone's entire career, okay, right?
Right.
But I mean, let's say you worked at Apple for 50 years.
Right.
And then you got busted for insider trading, or just you got busted for assault.
If you worked at Apple for that long and got busted for insider trading, then I bet you'll be fine without your pension.
The example is, should your retirement be taken away?
I guess not.
I get it. It's a deterrent.
Right.
I get it. But anyway, so this guy, his name is Aguirre is his name, Aguirre. He is now a private investigator, and he was hired by a GOP PAC in Texas to investigate claims of voter fraud. Okay. They start tailing this guy, David Lopez Zuniga. I'll just call him David from now on. David Lopez, who is an air conditioner repairman.
Right.
An installer. For some reason, they get onto him. They've never said why, ever. This private investigator group or Aguirre has never said why.
I can tell you why.
I agree.
It's his last name.
I agree, and it gets better, okay? So here's what happened. David Lopez, air conditioner repairman, is leaving his house one morning in October. He notices a black Suburban behind him. Never seen it before. It's acting kind of strange. It's swerving. He thought he was drunk, right? So he slows down to let the Suburban pass. Next thing you know, the Suburban just basically slams into him, rams him off the road. He gets out. The guy who hit him looks injured. He has his hand like inside his coat like he's holding an injury. So he goes to approach him to render aid, and the guy pulls out a gun. It's this cop. It's this ex-cop, Aguirre. Puts him at gunpoint, knee on his back, okay? 2 other dudes show up, and while he's holding David on the ground at gunpoint, these 2 other guys search his truck, okay? They thought in his truck he had 750,000 fake ballots.
Wow.
That were signed by Latino children because their fingerprints aren't in any database. This is true. This is what they believed. Okay. They believed that this man, this air conditioner repairman, was part of a massive conspiracy to have Latino children sign ballots because their fingerprints aren't in a database. And this guy was so convinced that they were in this guy's truck that he ran him off the road. Now, all that aside, we'll get into what happens later. I just want to talk about what 750,000 ballots looks like.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Okay. I did a little math. I was like, let's just say, even though a ballot is not a normal size piece of paper and it's not normal thickness, it's thicker and longer, I just wanted to know, like, what is a pallet of paper? How many sheets is that?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Turns out a pallet of just normal copy paper is 200,000 sheets.
Really?
So this guy would have had to have had at least 3 to 4 pallets of fake ballots.
Wait.
in his truck.
Wait, you said a pallet is
200,000
Oh, okay. 200,000 sheets.
sheets.
Right. Okay.
Normal paper.
Right.
If anybody's held a ballot, they're longer and like cardstock.
Right. Right.
So, besides the obvious of running a man off the road as a private investigator, you thought that he had 4 pallets in his truck? What an idiot. Full of... Okay, so a cop is driving by, sees this unfolding, goes and stops it, right? The two dudes are searching his truck, and I think they take his truck and just abandon it like a few blocks away. This guy's an air conditioner repairman, okay?
Uh-huh.
The cop listens to this ex-cop who says, I hope you're a patriot. Says that to the cop on the scene, okay? And he says, this is what I'm doing. This is what we believe. This guy's in on it, blah, blah, blah. David, the victim, is like, I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. He allows the police to search his car, to search his home, to search his garage. He gave up his Fourth Amendment just because this guy's psycho, right?
Mm-hmm.
He ends up getting charged a few weeks later with assault with a deadly weapon, which in my opinion is light. I think you could probably go for false imprisonment.
And kidnapping.
I think you could probably go for a hate crime because he's Mexican or Hispanic. Like, and there's this whole list of, it turns out this nonprofit group, the Liberty Center for God and Country, paid 20 private investigators close to $300,000 to conduct a 6-week probe of illegal ballots. They claim that this probe that they did saved Texas from going blue.
Of course.
Right. Because my first thought was, well, didn't Trump win Texas? That was my first thought.
Right.
Now, this happened before the election.
Ah.
It was in October.
So they had to stop it.
Right. The police asked Aguirre what he knew about the fraud.
Uh-huh.
He wouldn't work with them. He wouldn't tell them. He didn't give them any evidence.
Because they're in on it.
He didn't want to help. And he then asked a lieutenant somewhere, whatever, to, hey, will you just do a traffic stop on David, this David guy, for no reason, just so we can search his truck? And the lieutenant's like, no, absolutely not. It's a good cop, right?
Ooh.
So there's so many things wrong with this, but the reason I wanted to tell you about it is just to illustrate the depths that people believe
Well,
that this was
yeah.
fake.
What's
I
getting-
personally believe that 74 million people voted for Trump. I think it's disappointing. I
Yeah.
don't like how divided we are, but I believe that 74 million people really voted for Trump. I don't understand why people can't believe that 81 million people voted for Biden. I don't understand.
It is really stupid. Huh?
They think that they think that I'm not saying all Republicans, I'm not saying all Trump supporters. I'm saying this type of Trump supporter who believes in these conspiracies actually think that no one in their right mind would vote for Biden.
Right.
I'm perfectly willing to accept that people voted for Trump. Good, normal people.
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
it just, they voted on one issue or they just had a different take, whatever.
Right.
I don't understand there's no way that Joe got votes. I don't understand that argument at all.
What's really interesting or funny is that the more people that come out against the conspiracies, like McConnell,
yeah,
they're like, oh, he's in on it.
he's in.
Fox News, they're in
They're
on it.
in on it.
Did you see Lou Dobbs had to do like a whole show worth of retractions?
No.
Because this company sued them for slander.
Regarding the
Yeah,
like he was slamming them for the conspiracies, or he was
it was a ballot counting company in California that was only used in Los Angeles County. Here we go. Let me pull this up from the story here, the Washington.
And by the
Post.
way, while you're looking that up, I have no problem with voting machines being analyzed. Audit the shit out of them. Fine. If you find something, absolutely something should be done. I just don't happen to believe that Joe Biden won by 7 million votes in a fraudulent election.
Right.
that came down to only like 100,000 votes. I don't buy that.
Right.
You know, I accepted the fact that Trump won by less than 100,000 votes total in swing states.
Mm-hmm.
I accepted that. I was like, shit. He won by like 10,000 votes in Michigan and a couple thousand votes in Ohio. Like, I get that.
But now it's voter fraud.
Right.
Yeah, so Lou Dobbs here, top-rated show on Fox Business Network.
It's the only show on Fox Business Network.
He's a conservative ally of Trump who has constantly raged over the past month that the president was robbed of a second term by a rigged election. Not a rigged election, but introduced a segment that calmly debunked several accusations of fraud that Rudolph Giuliani and other Trump supporters have lobbed against the election technology company Smartmatic.
So he was debunking the fraud allegations
that he first reported on.
Okay.
Let's see
So
here.
this was the retraction episode.
Yeah, there are lots
okay.
of opinions about the integrity of the election, the irregularities of mail-in voting, which there aren't really any, of election voting machines and voting software, Dobbs told his viewers before introducing Edward Perez, an expert with nonprofit open source Election Technology Institute, to give his assessment of Smartmatic and the recent claims about the company. And the segment was in response to a 20-page legal demand letter that was sent this month by Smartmatic to Fox News Media. Basically, I think it was a cease and desist.
Dominion, have you heard of Dominion lately?
Not the energy company, right? This is a different one.
Dominion voting machines are the ones that Sidney Powell argues were sent by Chavez and Fidel Castro.
Right.
They're actually threatened Sidney Powell.
Good.
With a defamation. Looks like they're maybe going to go for a defamation lawsuit
or
this whatever
is the
it might
same
be.
thing. Fox News is engaged in a concerted disinformation campaign against Smartmatic. Fox News told its millions of viewers and readers that Smartmatic was founded by the late Venezuelan president Hugo Chavez.
Oh, so
that its software was designed to fix elections and that Smartmatic conspired with others to defraud the American people and fix the 2020 election.
Awesome.
And from what I understand, Smartmatic was only used in like Los Angeles County throughout the whole country.
Right, but Dominion, which must be the same or a sister of some sort, was used in a lot of places. And here's what I don't trust, and I think it's fair to not trust this. I would not trust Sidney Powell's team conducting a forensic investigation on these. Right? If anything, they should call fucking Switzerland.
Ooh.
You know, have them come.
The Hague?
Yeah, have the Hague come and inspect the machines, which there are election monitoring agencies all over the world that including the UN, that follow elections in all the countries, and none of them have said there's any issue here.
No, our own William Bill Barr built. Have you heard the Built Bar commercials? No. At first, I was like, "Is Bill Barr?"
He switched careers.
That's why he resigned.
Dude, we haven't even talked about the fact that Bill Barr got fired.
He resigned.
Yeah. So did Mike Flynn. So did Mad Dog Mattis.
Well, I think it's good that all these people are resigning.
Well, it's funny. He doesn't have many left, and the ones that he do have left, are leaking like crazy. Like this whole martial law leak was from an Oval Office meeting, you know, and it leaked almost immediately.
Right.
It's that he was looking at martial law, looking at Sidney Powell, and the thing that we talked about this last time, he's turned his supporters against Fox, against the Supreme Court.
I know.
Who they were worshiping 2 months ago. Now the only trusted news source is Newsmax and OWN, One America News, the OAN.
Isn't OWN Oprah's network?
not OWN. Not that one. OANN, I think, is what it is.
Newsmax. That sounds like a freaking tabloid.
They both are. They're both incredible, just very right-wing, and I'm sure at one point they're going to have an editor slip and write something that Trump doesn't like, and he'll turn on them. So he's the ultimate source of information for the supporters that still believe he won.
Right. The other day, so I do a lot of freelance graphic design work.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of work for my friend who is a prop master. And he calls me and he's like, I need you to do a storybook cover. I'm like, okay. So I do a storybook cover, like an old-looking one. And I give it to him and I ask him what it's for. And he's like, the My Pillow guy?
Oh,
and I was like, oh, man.
You could have put a hidden message in there, man.
No.
Oh.
So apparently my artwork's going to be on a
Didn't-
Bill. What's his name? Lundell?
Didn't the My Pillow guy have a cure that he was peddling?
Yeah, probably his pillow.
He had
That
some
dude's-
sort of
dude's a whack job, man.
he had some sort of remedy, essential oil shit. That he got busted by the feds saying, "Hey, you can't claim that it cures COVID," because he had an infomercial saying that it did. It's something weird like that. The My Pillow guy.
What's his name? I know his last name's Lindell.
Just
What's
type
his first name.
My Pillow guy.
Oh. Oh.
My Pillow guy.
Yeah.
Mike Lindell.
Oh, that's Mike.
Yeah.
Mike Lindell.
Massive supporter for Donald Trump.
Yeah, he's still peddling theories and yeah,
throwing money at it.
as if he's some sort of a person of influence when he's just a
I mean, look who these guys hire. So someone in Texas started a pack, right? Let's start a pack. We're going to collect some money. They collect some money from a few rich people, one of whom's a doctor in Texas. And they hire people like Aguirre, a fired cop, police chief, a fired chief,
right.
to conduct the investigation. You couldn't
Don't
find anyone
remember
better.
that Linda McMahon was his.
Man, I'm excited for January 20th. Apparently on January 6th, there's going to be another MAGA march, which is the day the electors meet in the Senate or in Congress. Trump put that on Twitter. So we'll have a massive super spreader event.
So, do you think come January 20th, was it 20th or 21st?
20th.
Do you think that, because there's going to be an inauguration, it's
Yep.
going to be...
They're already building it.
Well, it's going to be way scaled down, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know to the extent of...
I heard, it's members of Congress are invited with a +1. That's the extent.
But is there... What about the...
I don't know if they can stop people from getting on the mall.
Oh, okay.
It is a national monument, and they certainly have closed it off before.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know.
But do you think there's going to be any... I'll just call them acts of terror
No.
from the Proud Boys and
Well, I mean, yeah, like little spits and spats here. You know what I mean? I don't think anything organized. The Secret Service and the Capitol Police and DC Police are they're too good, frankly, in my opinion.
Right.
Like,
Well, now what I like now is that basically Biden becomes president whether he's sworn in or not.
yeah,
Correct? So
correct.
at that point...
Two massive misconceptions. A concession speech is not needed.
Right,
No one has to concede. And actually, he doesn't even have to take an oath.
right.
It's just at noon o'clock or 1 o'clock on January 20th. Whoever won the electoral votes in the Congress.
At that point, he will take over the military,
Right.
and then So we shouldn't be worried too much about a coup anymore.
No. And I'm praying that Trump doesn't leave. I want to see him escorted out. Oh, so bad.
I know.
Just so badly.
No, that would be.
There's no way he's going to the inauguration.
No.
So
He's going to be in Russia.
technically, he'd be trespassing at noon. You know, I mean, it's tradition. The tradition is that the incoming president goes to the White House, they exchange gifts and pleasantries, and they ride together
Right.
to the inauguration. That's tradition. The
Right.
first ladies go separately, I believe, and the presidents go.
They les out.
Yeah. Oh man! Speaking of first ladies, have you seen this shit about calling Dr. Jill Biden doctor?
What?
What the fuck, man?
Why is this even a news? Why? Tucker Carlson,
and it wasn't
needs
Tucker
to
who
be-
started it.
I know it was the Wall Street
Right.
Journal, but Tucker Carlson needs to be he's so stupid. He's so stupid. He is the WWF of news.
Of all the
I
things,
can't believe it.
of all the things to talk about right now,
They've just run out of things, I guess.
you're going to talk about that her doctorate in education shouldn't denote
And this is the first
The
time
title
we've
of the
really ever heard this about anybody.
right.
It's what? Like what? Why?
I mean, the positive thing that I can take away from this is that's the best you've got on Jill Biden. That's awesome. Because the current first lady was in porn.
Right.
She's an immigrant,
I mean,
which Fox hates.
Weird question. You know, if you were given the choice to, make relations with Jill
Why are you talking so quiet?
with Jill Biden or Melania, I mean.
I'd go Joe. I'd go Joe all the way.
I'd go Donald, man. No, I'm saying.
Just for the experience?
Yeah.
Just so you can say you did?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Funny.
Yeah, I don't understand the doctor thing. I guess it's just the best they've got.
This is the only attack they have, man. And it's just like,
It's astonishing.
they're like, can you believe that she taught students when she was the vice first? Can you believe that?
She's still going to
I
teach.
know. It's like,
Even as first lady, I mean, she said she wants to. I don't know if the Secret Service will let her,
Yeah, I
but
know.
she's still going to
Could get
teach
tricky.
it. It's a college in Delaware, right?
Could get
If I'm not
tricky.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we go to break, I want to ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Do you watch The Mandalorian?
I haven't watched this season.
I really want to talk about it.
I know, but I like to watch them,
Right, whatever.
I like to watch them all at once.
At the end of this one, I'm not going to give you any spoilers, so don't turn off the episode, everyone.
No spoilers.
But it was funny because after I watch it, I was like, I got to tell somebody about this. And so I texted my friend, one of my friends who I know watches it, and I was like, did you watch it? And he's like, yeah, it was crazy. And then my dad texted me, and he must have been going through this. And my dad's not he watches it, but he's not a Star Wars nerd. And
Right.
he's like, dude, can you believe? Anyway, you got to watch it. But
I have seen a lot of praise.
But what I more want to talk about rather than the last episode is how this season, you'll see in the season, I'm not giving anything away here, how the writers are painting the Empire completely different.
Yeah?
Yeah. They call, at one point, they actually, an ex-Imperial Guard calls the rebellion and the Jedi terrorists.
Of course.
It's and you hear he says something like millions of people died on the Death Star, and they paint this picture like there's other side to the story,
Right.
and it's interesting because I've always kind of thought the Empire was the
bad guys.
yeah, but they've always been
But Anakin Skywalker, all he wanted was peace.
well, yeah.
That's all he wanted.
Well,
Obi-Wan cut off his legs.
Over the
and it
past,
was-
especially after the prequels came out, I was like, oh, the Empire is the United States.
Right.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit. Right. You got an old ancient religion coming after the Empire.
Seriously.
Oh, man. Doing little attacks here and there and then
Yeah.
hiding.
Yeah.
They're hiding in the mountains and these
It
caves.
is. When you look at it the other way,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
They're taking out our massive, very sophisticated weaponry with improvised devices like flying around
Right,
the
right.
walkers.
right? And they took out a planet, but they had to. How else were they going to stop the war
Right.
if they didn't take out that planet?
Iraq.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Alderaan Rack.
Right.
But yeah,
You have to prove your might.
But that was essentially what the guy during this point of the episode is like. Yeah, we took out Alderaan, but we had to. How many millions of people died on the Death Star, and how many millions of my friends you killed, and it's crazy, man. It's just It's interesting.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, I guess we should take a break.
All right. Fair enough.
Fair and when did they get away from that? When did they stop saying fair and balanced?
That's a good point. I don't know.
One day they were like, we should probably
Let's just admit it.
we should probably back away
Yeah,
from
let's
that.
just admit it.
All right, when we come back, I do have some random headlines for you. We've got 4 of them today.
Yes.
Santa hostages.
Santa hostages.
Well, yeah, and World War I stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be crazy,
Awesome.
and that's probably all we have for you. Because that first segment was longer than I anticipated. We didn't even talk about a couple topics.
That's true.
We did good. We did good today.
We done good.
Anyway, we'll be right back. We'll be right back. I felt like I stuttered. We'll be right back. Right back.
In a one-horse open sleigh.
This is one of those weird third verse nobody knows songs.
Winter killed our child. Medicine was rare. He ran outside in his bare feet and then he died right there.
Glad that's over. Oh, God, there's 4.
Please don't free the slaves. It's a bad idea. They'll try to get back at us and that's our biggest fear. Oh!
And now, Adam West High School Choir's original Christmas song, Die Hard. I see those looks. Yes, the movie was originally released in summer, but it took place on Christmas Eve, which makes it a Christmas film.
Die hard, die hard, John McClane and his wife. Yippee-ki-yay! Yippee-ki-yay!
This is the Our Take Podcast. We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you these random headlines.
We're back. Hope you enjoyed the break. By the way, find us at the Our Take Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and most importantly, TikTok. The other ones don't really matter anymore.
I don't even have TikTok.
I know, but I manage it for us.
I'm mostly looking at Instagram because of all the people that we follow. Anyway, there's a lot of great pictures on there.
Yeah, I mean, I still post the TikTok videos to Instagram.
Yeah. I saw,
And I found out a way to get subtitles in there, so if you don't want to turn down the volume.
I saw that.
Yeah,
That's good.
A little app, $4.99.
Oh, really?
Does it for you. But yeah, TikTok, I post little 1-minute clips of the show.
So you'll get to see a lot of the stuff we talked about today, easily.
And
like these bullets.
I've posted a
that are
picture just
everywhere.
of my face yesterday.
That's hot.
Mostly because you don't know how TikTok works.
Right, I don't.
But it's all about the sound that you use behind whatever you're doing, even though ours is a podcast, so it's just our sound.
Uh-huh.
One of them said, use this sound, you'll get a bunch of views, right? And it's just a song. Just a song.
Oh.
And so I just used a picture of my face with my hair messed up. Just here, let me show you. Let me just show you real quick. Because it was just the only picture I thought would be appropriate.
Appropriate?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, look, Tucker. I just did that. That's just
Oh, my.
It's just my face.
Look at that bedhead.
Yeah, with the sound behind it that's apparently supposed to help you get more
What about Tucker?
more shit. I don't know, he just showed up on my feed for TikTok here. Dr. Jill Biden's status.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Is he still talk if you want to dedicate a segment to it and then take the heat, but he is digging in his heels, man. It's every night.
He's an idiot. You should go.
Well, everybody knows that
Everyone should Google some of Tucker's conspiracies.
Right.
And
his lawsuit
yeah,
that Fox had to say
that he wasn't a
that
journalist.
that he's not news, that it's a character, basically. He's like an Alex Jones.
Anyway. All right. So This one is out of Canada.
Canada.
This first random headline: construction crews digging up a baseball field in Ontario. Why were they digging up a baseball field?
Putting in a hockey rink, I would think.
Maybe.
I mean,
do they do that every winter? But there was something buried under the pitcher's mound.
okay.
Which is kind of odd.
Jimmy Hoffa?
No. So they were digging up the ballpark, which is to become the site of a new public school, which I'm sure will have a hockey rink.
Right.
They discovered a World War I German cannon buried under the pitcher's mound.
What the
I don't know.
What? Like, what?
City officials said the cannon was brought to the town in 1922 and was displayed alongside a, I don't know what that is, at the high school. Centifa?
That's a big cannon.
Yeah.
What?
They just put it under the...
Just right under the pitcher's mound.
Yeah.
So why was it delivered to the town?
Cannon was brought to the town. It doesn't say.
That's the weird. I mean,
Oh, okay. So
this is the essence of random
the
headlines.
cannon was moved to Centennial Park in 1971 to make way for an expansion. This school needs to stop expanding. Just build it big enough the first time.
What are the odds that it's right under the pitcher's mound?
I don't know. Well, this says the cannon was determined to be in poor condition, so they buried it underneath. What?
That's what you do with
That's
cannons.
what you do in Canada. You're just like, this doesn't work.
Let's just bury it.
Do you think they bury their cars there when they break down? They're like, oh my ride.
Oh my ride.
Get the shovel.
Volvo. That's so weird, man. Random headlines. I love them.
Yeah.
Best segment.
So I don't know what they did with it afterwards, but hopefully...
I think they buried it again because it was in such bad shape.
They built it in another... we just... Under the pitcher's man, it gives luck, you know?
Right.
And oh, man. So... It looks like they might be... Oh, yeah, it's going to be put in a museum.
That's like...
Why didn't they do that the first time?
Right.
Like... Is it supposed to be like a time capsule or something?
That's what I was going to say. It reminds me of when we find time capsules that we don't remember. We put
right.
Like
in 50 years, someone's going to dig up this cannon and be like, "What?"
Right. Like, oh, we found a time capsule downtown. We forgot about it.
You'd
think it would be
call the bomb squad.
Like, I think it'd be something that would be passed down. Like, oh, by the way, you're taking office. There's a time capsule.
There's a cannon.
Yeah. You should know.
So do with it what you will.
It's live.
I was considering burying it, but, you know.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Whatever you want.
I like it.
All right. Next one's out of Wisconsin, where I believe this was a teenager, an 18-year-old, was pulled over by the Wisconsin State Police because he had wrapped his Camaro in Christmas lights. It is just completely wrapped in Christmas lights, and apparently it's illegal to do that. You cannot drive while decorating, and
much like Guinness,
yeah,
it's just not accepted.
Yeah. So I guess the officer, complimented him for his creativity, and I just like to say that it's not that creative. He just kind of slung lights all over.
Right.
I've seen better.
For sure.
And they'll let him go with a warning. I wonder what that warning, like if they wrote it on a piece of paper, what would that... Failure to not put Christmas lights.
Yeah. Why is it illegal? What code? What code is it violating?
I don't know. You could pull them in and out of the socket and pull somebody else. That Christmas car is pulling me over.
Right. I will, I worked for X96 for a bit.
Yeah.
And drove the short bus around.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a working school bus.
Yeah.
Had the yellow and red lights up top.
Right.
And when we got to an event, I would flip them on.
Right.
I was at a Jiffy Lube on Foothill Boulevard, Salt Lake, and just chilling, doing a remote, and a highway patrolman walks in. He's like, "You driving that bus?" I'm like, "Well, not right now." He's like, "You can't have those lights." I'm like, "What are you, like, on?" I'll go turn them off. That's fine. He's like, no, you can't have them. You need to put covers over them. I'm like, okay, will do. Have a good day. I'm putting covers over the lights. It's weird.
I don't know.
It was weird.
I don't think that you can have a lot of lights on your car as long as you only use them when you're
right. I was in the Jiffy
parked.
Lube parking lot.
Right.
I wasn't even on the street.
I mean, there's like
and I had the yellows on, by the way, not the reds.
Right. There's like people have old fire trucks and stuff that they
Right.
use for things, and as long as they don't turn on the lights, then it's
Yeah.
fine.
I remember thinking,
Do you think he was just a dick?
Well, obviously, he stopped. He didn't ask for any free swag.
Huh.
He didn't say hello to the DJ. He just...
Because I like to think of as cops as just normal people, like reflect on like if I was driving around on a Saturday and what was the temperature like? Was it a cold day or a hot day? Do you remember?
On Saturday?
No, when you were doing this remote.
Oh, it was a hot day.
So do I want to get out of my air conditioning car? I'm probably not going to write a ticket.
Right.
This isn't a big deal. Oh, like what would possess me? Just being in a bad mood?
I don't know.
You know?
It was super weird because the other vehicle, the incident management vehicle, had wigwags. You know?
Right.
The headlights, they never got mad about those. Weird. I mean, obviously, I'd accidentally turn them on the road because the switch was right by the cup holder.
Yeah.
So I'd pick my drink up and flip them on. People would move.
Well, of course. When my sister had a white Charger, people would move when you pulled
Of
up
course,
behind.
yeah.
Well, speaking of Chargers, a goat, a sheep, and 3 lambs besieged, what the story says, a municipal building in Turkey. So a goat and a sheep, they paid a surprise visit to this Turkish city hall. And there is a video if you want to see it out there.
Is this on the IndianExpress.com?
Probably.
Is this it?
That looks like it.
Okay, let's see. Gang of horns.
Yeah. Yeah. And so these animals actually were pretty aggressive, and they started like ramming people and not letting them out of the building. And I say just let them live there, man. It's
Right.
theirs. It's theirs now. You got kicked out.
Yeah.
If it was olden times, all you had to do was go storm a castle and kill everyone. And
Right.
So, I mean, these goats and sheep and lambs don't know any better. So
I've heard that wildlife is coming back to towns because of COVID. Yeah.
That was a big thing in the beginning. I think we even had stories about it. I know we did because it was pig news.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because, boars are trying to kill us.
Oh, I found a video. Yeah,
It's funny because it looks like one of those crime videos where you're going to see a police shooting or something. But it's these goats, and they're like, hey,
Get off those steps.
get out of here.
Well, if you run, yeah, man. Oh, then they picked him at random target.
I don't know. Was it racially motivated?
Could have been. Hey, don't hit his face. That's mean. It's just a little sheep.
Oh, that guy's trying to do something different to that sheep.
Oh, I gotta pause this. Pause it.
No wonder the sheep got so mad. He had his Velcro gloves with him.
Oh man, they're basically these 3 sheep, a goat, and a lamb, or what? I don't know what
I think
it
it was 3 lambs.
3 lambs, a goat, and a sheep.
Yeah, that's the name of my next band.
Chasing people around Turkey.
So the next story is out of Peruvia, or as some people call it, Peru.
I like Peruvia.
But Peruvian police drug squad members, I guess they often disguise themselves when they're doing a raid.
Sure.
So imagine, if you will, a raid here. You've seen them on Cops.
They usually ski mask or something.
Well, or just when the SWAT comes, they have their gear on, their guns, they bust in the door, and that's what we're talking about here.
Sure.
So I guess they do that. I don't know exactly what they dress up as, but for this particular time, they dressed up as Santa Claus
Yes.
and an elf with bulletproof vests.
Scared the hell out of those poor children.
Why is Santa beating down the door?
Oh man.
So yeah, it was a drug sting in the El Salvador district of Lima.
I like it.
Did you see a picture? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's some pictures there. Oh wow. I only have a picture of them after, and they have their vests were underneath.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this guy was over. Anyway, yeah, it looks he was wearing a coat. Yeah. That's
I
pretty
think
good.
our police should start doing that.
Why not?
Maybe not Santa Claus, because that just seems
Right.
cruel. Why is Santa holding that man that's screaming about
Right.
about conspiracies and?
I mean, yeah, this is a true sub for Santa.
This is Santa's side job. It's
Right.
his other career that he gets as he gets older into age. He's like, do I really want to do this the rest of my
Well, he's
life?
got. I mean, the rest of the year he's got to do something.
Right.
Right.
And when he's not enforcing his slave labor
Right.
of
the
of
elves.
elves,
Right.
then yeah, he's busting down houses in Peruvia.
Right.
Peruvia. Anyway, that's random headlines.
Well, congratulations.
Uh,
It was good. It was a good random headlines.
Thank you.
I liked it a lot. Yeah. Did you want to talk about this guns and Christians?
Sure.
You sent me an article.
Yeah. So I was driving around the other day, or home from work, and there was someone being interviewed on KSL here locally by one of their midday hosts, and she actually I don't think she wrote the report. I think that maybe she did, or is part of it. But basically, a couple people at Kansas State University did a bunch of research that hasn't been really done before,
Right.
on the kinds of people that buy guns.
Yeah, because it's hard, in most research you want a way to quantify things.
Uh-huh.
And this is all qualitative data, like tell me about your religion. Tell me how devout you are, that kind of thing. From what I gathered when I was reading it.
Right.
They wanted to know if religion played an aspect or was a variable to determine one's proclivity to gun ownership.
Right, and it turns out that it does.
It absolutely does.
What they found is that not only is the U.S. the most devout
Christian nation, right?
yeah, she said religion, but then she went on later to say that it was mainly Christianity.
Mainly Christian sects, right?
And they are also the most well-armed.
Yeah.
And people don't...
It's a paradox
Right.
that goes untalked about quite a bit. I've heard it's funny you sent this to me because I was talking to Ashley about the oxymoron in my head, or the what's the word? The juxtaposition of using God and guns in the same sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But people do. They say like God, guns, and freedom.
Right.
Or God, guns, and America. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just weird. It's weird to me. I'm a gun owner.
Right.
I believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't own a gun because I believe in God. And I don't believe in God because I own a gun.
Well, one of the more interesting things that they found in the study is that people who were the people who owned more guns were religious, but they weren't like everyday churchgoers. Right. They weren't super into the religion.
They weren't the super devout.
They weren't, yeah. And the people who didn't buy guns were people who didn't believe in Christianity at all. But the people sorry, what did I say that wrong? So the most religious people don't buy guns. And the least religious people don't buy guns, but the people in the middle buy the most guns.
Right.
And
which makes sense because if you think about it this way, most atheists or agnostics probably are more liberal.
Right.
I know I'm making sweeping generalizations, but just
I challenge you to find an agnostic Trump supporter.
And most
there's probably a dating website for it.
Right. And then of course most devout people believe in peace and and love.
One other thing that they found is kind of interesting is that that the people who bought guns, the religious people who bought guns, or maybe it was the religion, seemed to inspire more responsible gun ownership.
Okay.
So I guess you're less likely to shoot somebody, but you still, have the gun. They also,
right.
of course, in this study found that this year, in particular, more people that traditionally wouldn't have bought guns did.
Yes.
Which I think, and they didn't really talk about this in the study, but they brought up some of the reasons being the elections. Or actually the most common one was the civil unrest, the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
People tend to go out and buy guns. I'm pretty sure that's why my brother-in-law, he just bought his first pistol.
Yeah.
But I kind of take the opposite. I thought about buying a gun this year. I've owned guns before.
Right.
But I sold them when I was broke.
Yeah.
For crack. I mean, for
heroin.
But I thought about it this year, not because of the civil unrest on the BLM side, but more that it seemed that this far-right movement was heading towards
civil war,
something pretty scary, and that I might actually, at some point, need to just defend myself.
Not to mention just the statistics speak to that.
Right.
That far-right movements are responsible for more violence than other movements. It's just the stats.
Well, yeah, and they will argue, but I mean, that kid killed 3 people or 4 people?
Yeah. This paragraph got me here to speak to your point. The study found that gun ownership is part of a larger ethic or worldview that frames gun ownership as a battle between good and evil, and belief in supernatural evil is bound up in policy attitudes that protect or expand gun rights. So they've conflated. What's happened is gun ownership has been conflated with the good nature of a god or God.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that happened.
I would imagine it has something to do with just the way our country is, the way it was founded.
The sense of freedom in owning a firearm, I guess.
I mean, we were founded by people who took up arms against their oppressors.
Right.
And a lot of the people want to make sure they have the guns.
Yeah, it does.
In case the oppressors come again. And this is going to sound maybe hyperbolic, but a lot of them feel like the Democrats are the oppressors that want to take away their religious freedom.
Right.
Which I have never seen any evidence of, but maybe I'm...
No, and most of our Democratic leadership are religious.
Right.
She says acquiring a gun stems from a posture of fear and a sense of duty to defend, a willingness to kill when necessary. Yeah. See, and so I own weapons, but I don't own them out of a sense of fear for, insurrection.
Right.
You know, I don't think our military is just too big. Even our police force is so militarized, it's just not ever going to happen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't think I would ever... I didn't get weapons thinking I might have to use these on fellow citizens who have gone astray.
Right.
I bought weapons thinking if someone breaks into my house or if something's going down in the neighborhood,
or if there's some weird guy in your
carport. Yeah, I did get it out that night.
Oh.
That kind of stuff, I guess it certainly crossed my mind what you were saying, but I don't take it. I don't take it seriously. I'm like, if anybody, let's say the Proud Boys took a bunch of weapons to D.C. on January 6th.
Right.
Come on. The Secret Service, Capitol Police, D.C. Police, military, they're going to be squashed.
Right.
Almost immediately.
I mean, you could think that, there's this underground movement, to take over the country, take the country back, whatever. But regardless, I don't think that you would get enough people to turn in the police or the military.
In secret.
Yeah, in secret. And because I guarantee you that kind of stuff happens, but there's double agents. There's people,
absolutely.
The CIA and the Secret Service, they know about all this stuff.
And there's people within the groups who were like, oh shit, this just got real.
Isn't that what happened in the Michigan governor kidnapping? Didn't they have somebody in on it or something? I can't remember.
I think it was either someone in on it or a leak.
Right.
Like I said, like someone in the group was like,
"Oh yeah, this was fun at first, but
I thought this was just like a club, guys." You know.
And speaking of clubs, I think that a lot of people buy guns and use religion, defending themselves as an excuse. Just admit you like guns. Like, it's fine. Like,
right. They're fun to shoot.
They're fun to shoot.
It's fun recreation.
Yeah, it's an expensive hobby because every time you pull the trigger, it's
like 50 cents.
Right. Well, yeah, right. Have you looked at ammo prices lately?
Yeah.
Every time there's a Democrat in office,
this article did say that. Let's see. Was it last month?
Yeah, it went way up, just like it did when Obama was elected.
November, record-breaking month of gun sales in the U.S.
Like
3.6 million guns were sold in 1 month.
Yeah, I mean, 22 ammo hasn't bounced or come back in price and availability since Obama took office.
Right, and 9mm is actually hard to find too.
Yeah, and so it's interesting that these the people take it up so seriously. I mean, remember my grandma? She said Democrats are evil.
Right.
And she took it back, but that's really what she believes.
I just out of curiosity, I just looked up how many cars are sold. According to the U.S. car sales statistics, there are approximately 17 million auto retail sales each year.
Okay, but come on, that's a little unfair because cars are like 20 times more expensive than your cheapest gun.
No, I know, but
I
it's
think
just
my brother-in-law bought his for like $250.
They're cheap. It's just the number's not that far off. Is my point.
Oh,
like we're selling almost as many guns.
Like if you were gonna look at the numbers of like purchases of an Apple versus a gun, we sell more guns than we do Apple. Are people eating these guns?
Right. Yeah. No, it's 3.6 million guns in a month that's crazy.
Well, when you consider that, most countries probably wouldn't sell that in 10 years.
Right. I mean, that's basically arming all of Utah in 1 month.
It is. That's around our population.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's fine. Just admit you like guns.
Yeah.
And another part of the article was, that the people that own these guns don't want to use them. And I do kind of disagree with that to an extent. Obviously, I'm not going to paint them with a brush and say all these people are lying. But I would say that kid in that rally that took the 17-year-old or 16-year-old that took an AR-15,
yep, illegally
did not want to use it. He wanted to use it.
Absolutely.
And he found an excuse and he killed people and his life's ruined.
Right.
For no reason.
Right.
And in support of a man who doesn't give two
shits. Right. Yeah, and we don't have to go into the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing, but yeah, he didn't just kill people while he was running away.
Right.
He killed people because he was running away after killing someone.
Right.
He killed someone, he was running away and people were chasing him because he killed someone, and he turned and killed those people.
Right.
It wasn't just like, oh shit, there's some liberals, they're chasing me, pop, pop, pop. No, he was in another altercation down the street, killed a guy, ran past a camera, like a cell phone, and the guy said, what happened? He's like, I just shot a guy running down the street.
It's the same as the stand your ground guy in Florida, the Trayvon.
Dude.
Same situation.
Walking home from the gas station.
I saw a news article about this kid that walks around his neighborhood with a rifle every day that patrols it. That's what he does. I'm like, okay, that's weird. He's definitely a weird kid.
I would not be okay with that.
No, I wouldn't either. But you're telling me that he's not playing military or something?
Right.
I believe, if I remember correctly, he was not allowed to join the military. That's one of the reasons he does it. I couldn't join the military, so
there's a standard of normal behavior that we all understand, and people like to push it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But speaking of going around the neighborhood,
one
last story. Oh, I got hooked on something there. Sitting upstairs yesterday morning, watching a movie with Quinn, watching Wall-E.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I hear a fire truck in my neighborhood.
This happened to me as well.
And so
Then
and it's going slow.
Then you heard it again.
Yeah,
and again you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
I'm like, my neighbor's house must be on fire.
They've called in everybody.
Right. So I go out there, and it's a fire truck with Santa Claus in the ladder throwing candy.
Right.
And the Ghostbuster car.
Oh, really?
Did you see the Ghostbuster car?
I didn't actually see them this year. I just heard them throughout my neighborhood.
Yeah, so we go out there, wave at them. They threw Quinn some candy. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they do that every year.
Yeah, I remember
the same thing happened to me last year. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think they did it. It's not even been a year yet because they did it when we were first in quarantine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they drove through and did a little parade.
And throughout COVID to everybody. COVID for you.
I don't know if they were throwing anything out, but anyway.
Oh, man.
Is that it for you?
Yeah, that's all.
All right.
That's all she wrote for this episode.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Find us at The Arctic Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and most importantly, TikTok or thearcticpodcast.com. For episode 102, I'm Bryan.
I am Spencer. I'll see you next time.